So we like to worship in a circle. We're getting there, y'all. Usually in a circle where we have to look at each other like this. So an arc of a circle is better. It feels spacious here. So as I was preparing for today's, I consider, special meeting for worship, here in this space that may or may not be our new home, I found myself turning again and again to a single verse from the Hebrew Torah, the book of Exodus, chapter 25, verse 8. It's so short you won't need that. Because I even added to it. And the Lord said to Moses, which is a lot of Exodus. And the Lord said to Moses, let them make me a sanctuary, so that I may dwell among them. This invitation from the God of Israel to the Hebrew people wasn't just about constructing a place so that they could worship in the wilderness. It was about preparing a space in which the divine could be present, not above or outside, but among them, within their daily lives, within their community. I found this verse especially meaningful for us here today, here in this space. It's a Quaker tradition. We don't typically, I'm losing my place because I'm not used to this height. We don't typically refer to the meeting house as a church or a sanctuary. And we don't build sanctuaries out of stone or wood or brick or even gold. We build sanctuaries as the bearers of light with presence, with intention, with care, with faithfulness. As you may know or you may not know the history of New Garden Meeting, presence and care was once nourished on 3 fallen logs out in the woods. In fact, there's a mosaic of that in the meeting room. Or perhaps you may not have heard the history of Spring Friends, which is a meeting just southeast of here in Snow Camp. The meeting was sustained by the faithfulness and intention of one single individual, one man who met in worship with himself and the Spirit for months, many months, because their membership had been decimated by those escaping the North Carolina before and during the Civil War. One man. And it still exists. Sanctuary, in its oldest sense of the word, means a container for that which is sacred. The Latin word sanctuarium simply means a place that is set apart, not to set apart to exclude, but set apart as a place to hold all of life with its grief and its joys, to hold those who are weary, those who are fleeing, those who are seeking. Throughout human history, sanctuary has meant a refuge, a safe haven, not only for humans, but for animals and birds and plants. Cities of refuge are mentioned in the Hebrew Scriptures as offering protection to those who are being pursued with vengeance. Ancient temples sheltered the accused. Indigenous people across the Americas offered and received sanctuary in the face of violence and colonization. Even when there were tension between tribes, they were still offered sanctuary. And for over 1,000 years, the churches in England offered refuge where no civil authority could interfere or intervene. Across almost every culture and every tradition, the practice of sacred hospitality, sanctuary, runs deep. And that includes Quakers. If we were a proud people, which we like to think we're not, one point of pride might be our long history of welcoming the stranger. I've always said Quakers are not xenophobic, most of them. Don't have xenophobia. We have xenophilia. We tend to love those who are new or different among us. It's a practice rooted in the testimony of recognizing that of God in everyone. So it should come as no surprise to you that the original sanctuary movement, I don't know if any of you remember that, from 1980, was founded by two Arizona Quakers in Phoenix, Jim Corbett and Jim Dudley, as an act of courage and as an act of defiance of U.S. immigration policies. Jim Corbett, dressed as a Catholic priest, would visit Central American refugees imprisoned in Mexico and bring them much needed food and supplies and legal advice. Seeing his work as an extension of the Underground Railroad, he began smuggling refugees across the border into the U.S. a year later. At his hearing, because of course he got arrested, he said, "We will not cease to offer sanctuary to undocumented people from Central America. Obedience to God requires this of us." And 2 years later in Canada, Quaker Nancy Pocock extended this modern-day Underground Railroad into Toronto and eventually all through Canada, and this lasted until her death in 1998. Well, we friends, we may not be led or feel led like those in the original sanctuary movement or now the new sanctuary movement to hide refugees or defy authorities so blatantly. But sanctuary isn't only us living out our faith in the face of geopolitics with dramatic resistance. The practice of sanctuary is a deeply personal one. It can be something like a gentle, sustained faithfulness and care-filled attention. I find myself and have found myself throughout this week wondering, what does sanctuary mean for us? What does it mean for you to be a sanctuary? You might be a sanctuary when you decide to forgive someone, or when you offer honesty with tenderness. Sanctuary may mean creating space for an acceptance of somebody else's story, even when it's hard to hear, or maybe harder not to judge it. Maybe being a sanctuary means standing with those who are targeted, or sitting with those who are grieving, You might be a sanctuary when you reach out to someone you notice is struggling. You may be a sanctuary when you choose to listen without fixing, or hold silence without rushing to fill in the gaps. Each of us, each body, is a container for the sacred. And if it is as we believe that there is that of God within each of us, then every one of us is, in truth, a sanctuary. And when we come together in that spirit of sanctuary, in this room or anywhere else, we are building a sanctuary. Not with walls, but with presence. In actuality, I think Winston-Salem meeting has a tradition of that. We've opened our hearts to newcomers. We offer prayers and meals and caroling cards. Contribute to food pantries and relief work. We welcome those who are new among us, perhaps those who are on the margins who are not among us. For many of us, this meeting has already been a sanctuary. Not because of stained glass and fancy decor, but because of the love and the presence we have found among us. And so now, as we test drive this new space as a possible home for our meeting, I've already bought it in my mind and remodeled it and weeded that garden. As we consider sharing this building with other faith communities, I love that it's Community Church is the name of it. I want to invite us to consider another facet of sanctuary. What does it mean for our meeting to be a sanctuary in shared space? We already have experience at that. And we know we may not have control over the furniture or the lighting or the tuning of the piano. But we do have control over how we show up. What will we bring with us? Not just boxes and hymnals, but in spirit. Will we continue to offer care that holds and honors others, not just among ourselves, but among all those who share this space? Will we continue to welcome strangers so that they feel safe and at ease with us, even when they're not part of our faith community? Will we create conditions where God may continue to dwell among us? The truth of the matter is this: we don't need a building of our own in order to build sanctuary. We need open hearts, attentive spirits, and a deep commitment to minding our own light as we join in community within our meeting, with others here, and out in the world. Exodus reminds us, let them make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among them. That sanctuary can be a log, a chapel, can be a basement or a living room. It can be anywhere and everywhere. A circle of people sitting in expectant worship. Or sanctuary can be you. Just you. let us be a sanctuary, each of us individually and all of us together, so that the sacred may fully dwell within us, move among us, and shine around us as a light unto the world. And so